Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Poor Decisions Live with the Alconauts. I'm Ray.
And I'm Paul.
And as you can see right down below here, we have a very special guest with us this week. We have Rod J from Rod J BeerVentures with us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me there. Appreciate you.
They call you the man, the myth, the legend, or at least that's what we call you in our promo material. But
you two and Shane, I think that's it. So
for those of our audience members who aren't familiar with you, why don't you just give us a little brief history about yourself?
Ooh, how much time I got? So history about myself. Got into talking about beer just over 9 years ago, kind of. I mean, I was drinking beer a lot before that time, but 9 years ago, back in 2015, launched the RodJBeerVentures.com website and the YouTube channel. And from there, been kind of going through different things. So lots of beer reviews, lots of beer news, beer interviews, getting in touch with a lot of different breweries we've had on the show. I think most recently it was Left Hand we had on. In talks right now with North Coast coming on to talk about their beers and some of the other ones. But it's been a journey. So I've been over time building up a beer story. Never thought anybody would want to hear anybody talk about beer, but guess what? There's people out there that like that, I guess. So because it was my wife's idea. All the good ideas come from wives, right? So it was her idea for me to even do something.
True. It's kind of true.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. Who wants to watch me drink beer and talk about it? Like, that's still, if I don't have a beer, I don't want it. And then here I am 9 years later. And yeah, it's been growing. It's been great.
That's awesome. Now, you were just featured in an article in a pretty prestigious magazine.
Yeah. So we moved to Baltimore a couple years ago, and I got reached out to recently. About a month and a half ago, they just printed the piece, but Voyage Baltimore, who highlights different creators around Baltimore, reached out, like asking me to be in a piece to talk about the beer stuff. I don't even know how I got nominated to be in it or whatever, but all that time in Cincinnati, y'all didn't do jack for me. I'm just saying. I come to Baltimore, within 2 years, I'm becoming a celebrity. I'm just saying there's differences taking place here. But yeah, they reached out and did a piece and asked me some questions, kind of put it together, and they kind of put it out there. So now I'm getting kind of a little bit of attention here in Baltimore as well, which is great. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. And once again, we are so thrilled to have you on the show. It's always good to have individuals who are in our industry who have seen the experiences and can kind of mentor us younger YouTube channels or beer-fluencing channels. So we're really glad to have you on here, and we're going to rely on your expertise this week. We've got a few dandies in our beer trivia coming up, and we got a couple of topics that we need to address along the way. But Ray, let's get there. Let's get our promo stuff out of the way.
Alrighty, so don't forget to check out our beer or shirt of the month club. You can find all the information on our website, which we are going to promo very shortly here. We are still working on the April shirt of the month, even though April is almost over. It has come and gone. We did have the contest running last week. We're hoping for a few more people to contribute in on that one. So we may just hold off another couple of days before we announce the winner on that one. But I mean, every month, a new beer shirt, new beer slogan. And man, they are cheap at $19.99.
Absolutely. And honestly, I'm kind of like the glass half full. Evidently, Ray's more the glass half empty with him saying that April is pretty much done. It's only the 17th of April. So hey, whatever.
We're gonna blink and it's gonna be over.
But May's shirt is going to be fantastic, but don't miss out on April's shirt. Speaking of which, check out our website, thealconauts.com. You can check out our shirt of the month down there. Check out our beer education. Our reviews are on there. We've got some articles about different beer thoughts, the beer stories, the beer industry. So jump on there, thealconauts.com. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our content if you're enjoying it. Even if you're not enjoying it, just subscribe, like, and share just to piss off the people you don't like.
There you go.
So, with that being said, let's start with our first subject. Cans, bottles, or tap pour. What is your preference, Mr. Rod J?
It's always tap. Tap draft's always the best.
Yeah, honestly, they always say bottled beer is better than canned beer, and tap pour is always better than, all the below. But realistically, looking at the situation in regards to how environment affects beer, you get cans, and the best thing about cans are, A, they seem to cool down faster when you throw them in a cooler. B, they have a full seal. You don't get that sunlight coming in, right? And with glass bottles, I think the amber bottles are probably like the most effective at keeping out the sunlight. And for those, do you know why sunlight is bad for beer, Mr. Rod J? You should.
It's this big O word called oxidation.
Yes.
Not the O word that some people think of, but a different O word for beer.
Yeah.
Oh no, my beer is gunky. And you'll get that in the green bottles, the blue bottles, the clear bottles. It is susceptible to sunlight. Basically, that's how you get that skunkiness in there. Like, you ever drink like Heineken's and just get that that skunky taste, right? Everyone says like, oh, Heineken is kind of skunky, or anything in a green bottle is skunky. It's because they're more susceptible through sunlight from that happening. Now, you said tap pour was kind of like your preferred method.
Yeah, tap pour is usually seen as the best because it's coming fresh off the draft. Now, keep in mind, this is if you are running your kegs properly, you've got the right temperatures, your lines are cleaned within every week to two. So you got to make sure you're maintained properly. But if it's maintained properly, you should be getting the best out of the draft. But to your other point, I do prefer cans to bottles myself because I look at cans as being baby kegs. So it does work out a little bit better along those lines too. And to your Heineken point, you ever want to do an experiment, do a video with the Heineken bottle versus the Heineken can and taste the difference. You will have a difference there.
Oh, that's interesting. I can only assume it's just like it's exposure to, like I said.
Yeah, the sunlight will affect the bottle, but the can will come out fresher than the bottle does. As long as they're dated, it's still in the same thing. Don't get like a 5-year-old can of Heineken. I mean, you want to keep them all relative, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The key thing with I think the key thing with cans is, they're like I said, they're easy to cool down, but they also have like very little headroom in there for oxygen, right? So you really don't have much oxygen. Yep, exactly. I know from experience canning beer, you got that foam build up right at the end, just enough to just slightly overflow your can, and when you seal that lid, there's almost zero oxygen being in your can. And basically, that's how you keep a can. That's how you keep a beer nice and fresh. But realistically, you're right. Taking it from the tap, I would almost say it's almost like the purest form of having that beer. Because in a keg, you have pretty much zero oxygen in there. Even the way they clean it and store it. You're not leaving oxygen in the keg when you're storing it. You're actually putting in, like, in some cases, CO2, just to make sure you don't have oxygen in there. But to your point earlier, you're absolutely correct. If you're walking into a bar and there's like one guy, and you don't see cars in the parking lot, I got a feeling that tap is not going to be so clean.
You might want a bottle in that case, or a can.
Exactly.
But one other tip too, for those of you that do like to buy the bottles, and I've seen people do this, and I'm like, don't do that. But you all learn at a certain point. If you're going to be storing your bottles, you put them in the fridge, in the cooler, or whatever it may be. Do not put bottles on the side. I see people store bottles on the side sometimes in their fridges. Reason being, when you store it on the sides, you open up a little bit more of a gap to get oxidation into it. Now, you can do it with the can. Cans you can put on the side. but don't do it with bottles. It's like if you have I think people think they can do it with some of the bottles like they can with wines and stuff. It's not the full same thing because wines are sealed a lot better than beer bottles are. You got the cork all down there, keeping everything out. So just a word of advice: don't store your bottles on the side.
That is some very, very sound advice.
Also, I didn't even know that, to be honest with you. And hello to One Flight Down and Home Bartending with John. I'm gonna say when I go to my mother's house to have drinks and barbecue, her fridge is so small. I have no choice, and she has so much food in there. I have no choice but to lay my beers down sideways. Now, the only caveat to that is it doesn't last very long in that fridge, anyways. Mm-hmm. It's coming right out. It's coming out real fast.
Yeah, so it works in that regard, right? So it's not going to be there too long. But yeah, I see people that put stuff in there for weeks or a month or 2 months at a time. And it's like, yeah, you make it away with it here and there, but it will catch up with you at some point. So,
well, I'll tell you, I when I built my bar in November, I built it around a beer fridge. And this thing is absolutely amazing. It's a commercial beer fridge. It's not very tall. It's like a counter beer fridge, right? But it holds a lot of beer. Ray's seen it.
I can attest.
It's got its own lighting. I'm pretty sure it's draining me of electricity on a regular, but I can guarantee you, Rod, no beers are going down sideways in this fridge for sure.
We're all gonna have our guilty pleasures. Yeah,
it's a brilliant little fridge he found. He did an awesome job finding that. It fits the bar perfect. It fits a lot of beer, like a lot.
Yeah, and surprisingly, we can go through all that beer in one night. It's kind of scary. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nonetheless, let's digress just a little bit and move on to our next subject. Ray, what's our next subject?
Saving the world one beer at a time.
Yes, indeed. Give us a lead in here, Ray.
Yeah. So I had a quick look at some information that Paul shared earlier today, and apparently there's an estimated 900,000 tons of bread wasted every single year. So 24 million slices of bread. That's a lot of bread. So I guess the ancient Sumerians brewed beer 6,000 years ago using a recipe that included bread crusts. So yeah, I guess there were grains and yeast and other stuff, and they used the bread as a starter, as a filler into it. I would imagine it was probably pretty chunky. I mean, just reading off the slide, it was dedicated to Ninkasi, the goddess of beer. So in 2016, a company called Toast Brewing in London revived the recipe to address food waste. Using bread ends and crust in the brew, reduced the grain usage by 25% for the brewing process. So technically replacing 25% of the carbon, water, and land needed to produce the grain. And we all know how costly everything is these days. So this could be an answer to helping small breweries survive. Grocery stores throw out a ton of the stuff. All sorts of manufacturing processes, I'm sure. I think Paul's got a little more background information on how these guys got started. So,
well, absolutely. Let's go back. Honestly, to even come up with the concept of these Sumerians say, we're gonna bake a beer bread, which is I do believe a twice baked barley bread, and we're gonna put it in with grains and the yeast and whatnot. All to pay homage to their goddess of beer. Honestly, we need a goddess of beer right now. But it's just a neat way to do bread. And realistically, I think they were saying back then, you were more looking at a beer porridge than you were an actual, chuggable beer.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But, to be able to augment that recipe and to address food waste, is it something that small breweries should look to do in order to help themselves in terms of, being competitive? And it's funny because and I didn't want to go on a downer on this point, but net the amount of small breweries that closed versus the amount of small breweries that opened is very minimal. I think last year in the States, year over year, the net increase was something like under 100 breweries opened, right? I think
Right.
490 something breweries opened last year, and 400 and like 50 or 440 closed last year.
Yeah, because here in the States, at least, when a lot of them close, they usually get absorbed by another brewery that takes the space. Is what happens in a lot of situations. So either another
Yeah,
brewery comes in and they take them over, or someone comes back. Like right now, people are trying to revive the whole Anchor thing. Even though Anchor went down, people are trying to former people out there trying to bring it back. So there's usually it's pretty close to that. I mean, in the whole net thing, you're probably about right there. It's not that much off of it.
no, it's not. Achoo! Sorry.
Bless you.
But it's the reason why breweries are closing is because cost and competition. And can we be more cost effective as a brewery? If I was running a brewery, I would want to find any way plausible to minimize my costs. And
Mhm.
are there other ways to do this? Whether it be a better filtration process for the water that you use, or how you expend the grains and recouping those costs. Like, can those grains be like after you separate the wort, go through the worting process, or the lautering process? Is there a way to use that grain for something else and make money off of it, right? And
Right.
I almost think like as an industry, they need to start looking outside the box, whether it be renewable energy, like electricity wise. How can you minimize your costs in terms of electricity? And I know it's draining. The utilities are draining.
Yeah.
It's not the actual grains themselves. It's not the actual, ingredients themselves that really cost that much. It's the whole process, the electricity, the manpower, the time it takes. It's daunting. I've seen it. I've seen so much waste in it. Like I've seen so much beer go down the drain.
Literally and figuratively, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
you mentioned the you said the costs and competition. For me, I think it's more easily summed up as management. It's all under management and all under perspective from that point on, because when you're running these breweries, you got to have the foresight to actually think of other ways to drive revenue, to bring in other opportunities, to set yourself up properly. I've seen breweries that have stretched themselves too thin, and that's why they're out of business. I've seen breweries put themselves in places that were not the best community interests, where you're like in the middle of a factory yard and people don't want to come out there because who wants to come to a factory yard and sit out there, rather than being near a park or something like that. I've seen people do like, miss opportunities. Like you mentioned the spent grains. I had a company years ago who sent me, they basically would get spent grains from breweries and they would turn them into granola like bars. And
Oh.
so I actually had them send me to try on the channel. I did a review on them and all that kind of stuff years ago. Could a brewery have done that and realized that? And then like a lot of breweries are looking for ways to get other sales out, and they could have basically had food sales out of their brewery if they were having that foresight to come up with those ideas, right? So there's ways that management is not coming through for a lot of breweries.
It's interesting you mentioned that. We've got a small brewery, one of my favorites locally. Their spent grain some of it goes into their kitchen. They use it
Mm-hmm.
to make muffins, breads. They make a really, really cool grainy mustard out of it. And then the rest of it goes off to farms. They, pig feed and some other processes that they're using on the farms. So if you're creative, you can make it work. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's a teeny tiny brewery, but they've got some shelf space in our LCBO with one of their brews constantly, and then you'll see the occasional other one hit some shelf space. But they've created a really neat little niche in a small town locally here, and I think they're probably going to be here for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
So
that helps to drive more into the community type ties as well when you're doing stuff like that. And like the brewery doesn't have to make like the granola bar type thing. but they could actually still benefit from it by, getting maybe back a part of a royalty fee or whatever, but having someone else having them start their business, right? And they're extended into that now. So there are different ways to actually do some different things out there. I know some breweries, their feed, they turn over to farmers for cattle and stuff, like for spent grains as well. So it becomes cattle feed. So there's ways they can tie in to do other things.
The brewmaster I used to work with, he literally would just call up the farmers, and they'd come up and pick up that spent. And you're talking about like huge barrels full of like spent grain, and it is a good way to offset costs for farmers, but it was just given away.
Yeah.
And in an industry that is trying to nickel and dime their way to survive, you notice that a lot of breweries, they have restaurants attached or a food truck attached just to compensate for, the lack of beer sales or distribution. It's almost kind of sad to see because, I've gone through the boom when like craft brewery was like new. It's like you had to be a beer snob to go there and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the big turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was like, oh, okay, well, you know what? I can't. Give me a lager. Give me a Coors Light. Right, well, we don't sell that here. And you get that kind of nose in the air kind of thing. And now, and because there was so few of them back then, they could charge whatever you want. And not that they did, but they could. But nowadays, you're finding that the beer prices are higher going to a craft brewery. The food prices are higher going to a craft brewery. I don't know how they compete. And it's almost like they're turning away business because of it, right?
Yeah. I think it does depend on where you're at too. Just to say, because I've been to some breweries where it's kind of that way, and I've been to some where it's like, are you just giving this away right now? And so I think location does matter. I'm just gonna say.
I honestly, I know around here, there's a lot of breweries that kind of take advantage, and I may not know their circumstances. What I can say is it's very consistent in terms of pricing, and to me, I just feel like I'm not getting value for the experience of trying their beers. And a quick shout out to BC Beer Reviews and PA Brew News. Thanks, guys, for jumping on today.
Chris and Paul joining us. They're in the house.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks for showing up, guys.
2 other great channels to check out.
100%.
PA Brews has got a really good point, which is like breweries that only focus on their food and only make mediocre brew at best. Honestly, you are absolutely correct. I also despise that as well. I also despise breweries that overreach.
Yeah.
In terms of their recipes. And like, what market were you trying to like? And honestly, yeah, honestly, we'll definitely get into that. I think this would be a really good segue because a lot of stuff we just covered in the last like 23 minutes is coming up in beer trivia. So Ray,
nice.
Set us up.
All right, here we go.
Slide change.
Yeah. And we got to add a little background for the beer trivia, the countdown. Here it goes.
All right. Rod, are you ready for this?
I am ready.
All
right, sir.
Here we go.
Here we go.
First question. 17th century Catholic monks invented an all-beer diet for what 36-day event?
Okay, so for our non-church going...
Everybody should know that. Everybody should know that.
One flight down says it's Portland.
What is the whole Portland thing, by the way? I think Portland will pop up a few times.
So,
over the last few weeks.
Lenny, our technical advisor who puts together these slideshows, accidentally put the wrong answer for a question and put in Portland. And ever since, Portland is the default answer for most of our friends out there.
So he Steve Harvey the answer is what he did.
Yes, indeed.
Alrighty.
Man, Alan.
It looks like what we got here. Portland, BC put in 42, and I think one flight down, Alan. I think you got it right here, right?
Yep, there it is. Lent in 634, the Paulaner monks of Newdeck ob der O invented a beer so malty and thick that they nicknamed it liquid bread. For the entire 46 days of Lent, they drank only this beer and water. It was believed that the beer would cleanse the body and soul in preparation for Easter. This beer was the original Doppelbock and is sold under the name Paulaner Salvator. I've never tried the Salvatore. We've had some Paulaner beer before.
We've had some Paulaner.
We reviewed it, but I know we've drank it.
Let me tell you, if you never had the Paulaner Salvatore, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to try that. If you're a Doppelbock fan, that's up there as one of the top Echelon Doppelbocks to enjoy.
Nice.
Well, you heard it from the pro.
Yeah, from the boss man.
All right, Ray, what's up next here?
Ready.
Oh, just by the way, point-wise, that last one was worth 2 points.
2 points.
Only 2?
Alrighty. Here we go. Next question. During Prohibition, what did Youngling sell? Oh, sorry, did I say Youngling or Yingling?
I think
you said Youngling, but it's Yingling.
Yeah.
I guess Shane's not here, so.
Hey, Brew.
Brew, what's up,
Brew's
buddy?
in the house. How are you late?
Have you
Just in time for beer trivia.
That's called making an entrance.
So
Alrighty.
during Prohibition, Prohibition, one of the oldest breweries in the world, or in North America. What did they
That's good.
sell?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, 'cause I know Pabst did cheese.
Yep.
Well,
Oh, you
BC
totally
saying
got-
soap. I'm gonna say it's not soap. I don't know why you had a delivery.
DoorDash?
One flight down says it's bread. Home bartending with John also says it's bread.
Hmm.
A couple of more good guesses there by the looks of it, too.
Yeah.
Yingling is in Pennsylvania.
Yep, PA. So PA
Yeah.
Brew News should know this, but soda near beer, it is
Nope.
not the case.
And no, they did not sell Portland.
They might have. Honestly, Portland's a easily sellable place. But
They sold
Ray,
it
what
back.
is the actual? And you know what? Let's say this question is going to be 1,000 points.
It's ice cream. After the passage of the 18th Amendment, Yingling decided to open up an ice cream plant. In 1930, it started processing and distributing milk. Even after the end of Prohibition, the company kept producing ice cream until 1985. And in 2014, the company reintroduced Yingling's ice cream.
It is actually for sale to this day, and they sell butterbeer flavored ice cream.
I mean, I
wonder if
grew,
we can get it in
I
Portland.
grew up in South Jersey. I never knew about Yingling selling ice cream. I didn't grow up that far from Yingling. I never. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure most of the Yingling ice cream is sold in Portland.
Yeah. P. Bruno. Now you know the ice cream.
It's crap.
Well, we'll take your word for it.
Sure. Alrighty, next question. Lager comes from which German word? A, langsam, which means slowly, lagun, which means lagoon, lagern, which means to store, or lag, which is position.
I'm gonna say, because it's multiple choice, this one's gonna be. I'm gonna say this is gonna be a 3,000 point question. No
Alright.
googling.
Yeah. I know what the answer is, so I'm not going to say anything. But I know somebody's got it already.
I'll just bring it up answers here.
Hold on. Screen for Prohibition.
Alrighty.
Okay, so sorry, I was like PA Brew saying C Lagern to store.
Yeah.
Brew saying it's B Lagoon. Well, are you guys just picking Are you guys working together to pick different letters? Is that what you guys are doing? One flight down saying it's A. Home bartending with John saying it's C.
These guys have all got a side group chat going. I'm sure of.
Wow. I'm impressed if that's the case.
I think lager comes from the German word Portland.
Just spelled differently.
Yep, exactly.
What is the answer, Ray?
It's the lagern. Refers to the cold caves in which the beer was traditionally stored while fermenting.
Yeah.
Beers for facts, beers for breakfast, facts for snacks. That's because A is for Alan.
Alrighty. Let's carry on here.
Yes.
Next. So generally, which ingredient is malted at the beginning of the brewing process?
Okay. Everyone should know this. So I'm going to assign a point value. Ray, let's say 9,025?
That sounds about right. That's what I was thinking.
9,025, okay.
Yeah, I actually thought 9,027, but
PA Brew saying barley. One flight down saying Portland. Any other guesses out there? Any other guesses out there? Honestly, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Portland, but what other guesses you guys got out there?
I'm just going to start sliding Portland back in as an answer randomly throughout this whole thing.
We're just going to do a trivia where all the answers are Portland.
When in doubt.
Water. The water is malted.
The water
All right.
is malted. What is the answer?
Barley, of course. It undergoes a malting process at the beginning of beer brewing. It is steeped in water, allowed to germinate, and then kilned or dried.
All right. Now, this next one is kind of related to this question, right? What is it?
Aside from barley, beer can be made from other grains. What are those grains called collectively?
Now, I'm going to say it's a little bit harder. So, point value wise, I'm going to assign. Ray, what do you think?
3 points.
3 points. Yeah, that makes
3
sense.
points.
3 points if you get this one.
Really tough.
So, aside from barley, beer can be made from other grains. What are those grains collectively called? Any takers out there? Rod, you got an idea?
I mean, from brewing beer, I've always called it barley and grain. I'm trying to think what you guys are going to with it being called collectively. Because it's not like the grainyites or anything. The barley.
I'll tell you what, some examples of other grains that fall into this, category. Rye would fall into this category. Corn would fall into this category.
Yeah, but you're not going to go add. But if you're going for adjunct, then adjunct would be something different. Because anything can be added as an adjunct. It wouldn't be just the grain.
But collectively, you are absolutely correct. It is adjunct. They are adjuncts.
If I add honey into a beer, it's considered an adjunct, but it's not a grain. That's why.
Well, they call them adjunct grains, right? So
it must be a Canadian thing.
It's possible it is a Canadian thing. It is possible that it is a Canadian thing. But you know what? For this particular purpose, that's the best 3 points you're going to earn in this trivia.
There you go.
Paul,
3 points. Paul's American like me. He's like. Trick question. Way to go, Trebek.
Terribly sorry, but you did not give us your answer in the form of a question.
Yeah.
You lose 25,000 points.
There you go. And there you go. Ray, what is our next answer? And we covered this earlier.
Alrighty.
Answer or question?
Is, what causes skunked beer?
Adjuncts.
Water. Paul.
Water.
Water.
Point wise, we mentioned this earlier in the show, so I'm just gonna say this one's worth 25,000 points.
And I think everybody's getting points on this one, Paul.
I don't know. I like. Are these the right answers? Are they really the right answers?
Well, let's find out. Well, of course it is. Excessive light causes beer to become skunked. You know, it gets that icky, skunky, Heineken-y, steam whistly. You know, UV rays changing the molecules in the beer, breaking them up, allowing them to recombine with sulfuric compounds. You know, and contrary to popular belief, it is not caused by heat. Although the light can cause heat.
If you have it warm, it will re-ferment about. You can't have them too warm in spots either.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correcto. Oh, it's
the green demon.
Steam whistle.
I like me a steam whistle once in a while.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. What
Especially
is our next? What is our next question, Ray?
Next question is, what is the process of separating the wort from the solid remains of the mash called? We may have alluded to this earlier.
Yes. What is that called? I don't know how many people are actually familiar with the brew process, in terms of either home brew or, actual brew process in the brewery, and they're very similar. Very similar. But this process is required in both processes. Yeah, I start making out words right now.
Processes.
Hey, brew crash calling. Cooling 2.
Crash cooling.
Damn fat fingers.
Portlanding.
Yeah. Alan, you got it, buddy.
And he's also got a fan. Okay, let's not leave these guys hanging for the 500 points. This is worth.
It's called watering. Water comes from the German word ablautern, meaning roughly to rinse off or purify.
Like Lake Minnetonka.
Is that Lake Laudertonka?
For those who've seen Purple Rain, you would know about the purifying.
That's
waters
right.
From Lake Minnetonka. Apollonia.
Alrighty. So which of these have not been used as a flavor in a beer? A, pizza. B, cheese and onion crisps. C, coconut curry. D, lobster bisque. Or E, none of the above have not been used.
So, this one right here, I'm going to say it's a little bit on the difficulty scale. Ray, what are you thinking?
1.6674 points.
Yeah, that works. That works for me. 1.667 points. I hate doing decimals, eh, Ray?
Yeah, I know. Because you're not the Asian math Asian. I know. I get it.
All right, we're
I feel
getting
like
a
this
couple.
one's not going to be as difficult as we thought.
Everyone's just throwing in. Peter, you got to prove to me lobster bisque wasn't used.
Well,
I can prove to you lobster bisque wasn't used. Well, Ray, what is the answer?
the answer is E, none of the above. So the interesting thing is, what is going on here? Where'd the rest of my stuff go? Must be in two steps. Voodoo Ranger, Tombstone Pizza Beer.
Yeah.
So it apparently had Tombstone's crispy, crusty flavor with tangy tomato and savory herbs. Ugh. I don't like the sound of that.
You know how much that costs for the Tombstone Voodoo Ranger combination?
Yeah, it was like a 4-pack for $50 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm like, one year Voodoo Ranger,
was it
2
really?
Tombstone. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid. It's stupid expensive.
Oh my God.
I think the only reason I knew that answer was because I think that was one of the topics of conversation on your show last week, Rod.
Right. Right.
Has anyone out there ever had this beer?
It's just coming out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wouldn't
Whatever
tell
it
anybody
costs.
to pay. I wouldn't tell anybody to spend $50 on it. So for my smart consumers, I won't even spend $50 on it, and I can write it off. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Because then if you get 4, you gotta do something with the other 3 others. So.
Right.
Well, just to prove that the other flavors are also real beers, Ray, show us what's next.
All right. So, Northern Monk, cheese and onion lager. So it was made with cheese and onion crisps, flavoring from Seabrook. I've never heard of Seabrook before, but
They're out of London, so England, really. Sorry.
oh, it says right on the can. It says bags of flavor made with pride. So they are a crisp manufacturer.
Yes.
Yeah, because crisp is English for
Yes,
potato
they're a
chips.
crisp manufacturer.
Loving the crisps. So evidently, the flavoring's in there.
So we've got Sam Adams coconut curry porter.
Yeah.
So soft coconut with just a hint of curry spice that lingers a bit. So that's a doozy. And then we've got finally the Wild Beer Company of the Sea. Lobster
Of the sea.
apple.
Yep. So 30 lobsters were used to make this lobster bisque, and it's uncategorized. They kind of put it into a sour category, but according to Untapped, it's other. 30 lobsters.
It's got a briny hint and rich smoothness, which accentuates the taste of the sea.
So
And they only made 8,000 bottles.
Yes. So 30 lobsters, cockles, kombu, seaweed, sea herbs, right? The lobsters are dipped in for about 12 minutes. I don't know where they come up with the 12 minutes. Take those out. Take the meat out. They turn that meat into lobster rolls. Shove the shells back into the brew for the rest of the brewing process.
Wow.
I'm curious. I would love to try it. The idea was to make a lobster bisque beer, and that's why they made it. That's a lot of beer, like 8,000 bottles, and was 100? Did you say 120 kegs, right?
Yeah,
120
120 kids.
That's a lot of beer.
Well, I mean, it's only 8,000. I mean, if you're the only brewery that does it, I mean, it's not that much. It definitely makes it a rare, limited exposure.
I wonder how much it costs.
That's
I know that's going to be a costly one.
And where is the Wild Beer Company?
Liters, 60.
You could go to the Google.
20.
Go to Untapped.
Oh my god! Wow.
Nice.
You're looking at like 10,000 liters of this stuff.
Oh, okay.
10,000 liters. Yeah.
Average untapped rating.
3.4 or 3. It was mid.
3.25.
Huh.
Apparently, I've had 3 friends that have had it, and their average was 3.33.
Okay. And they're at this brewery's out of England, I guess, eh?
They are out of Ashford.
Nice.
Out of Kent, England, where our buddy Craig is at Kent Beer Reviews. I wonder if he's had it. No.
We got a lot of comments on the old lobster bisque beer.
Oh, I like oyster stouts. Oyster stouts I've had a few of those.
Yeah, I've never tried one. Yeah,
I think we should.
brewing process.
We should do one just to. Well, I should do one with you, Ray, just to piss you off because I'm pretty sure you won't like it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
You're not a big fan of stouts, and you're not a big fan of oysters, so
no, no. So it is what it is. So on that note, what's the worst beer flavor that you've tasted? What was it? Who did it? And why did you pick it up?
Rod J BeerVentures was the worst thing you've put in your mouth.
The worst one that I have tasted was, I think it was Trader Joe's Name Tag Classic. Whatever it was, one of their, it's like, I think it was, I want to say it was made by Mint House. It was terrible. Although, yeah, it was still pretty bad. But after that, it would probably be like Lining Cool Summer Shandy would be one
So,
that's.
what was the
Yeah,
flavor?
it was an adjunct lager for the name
Okay.
tag. Yeah, and it was like it was one of those Trader Joe's beer. Like here in the States, you get Trader Joe's, and you'll find some stuff that are pretty decent. But when it's a name like Trader Joe's on it, it'll be like a 6-pack for like $3 or something like that.
Yeesh.
So when you get a good one, it's like, oh, this is great. When you get a bad one, I guess it's like, oh, this is really bad. So it was one of those ones that was just like, yeah, it still left you on the shelf. But that was probably, I mean, and I'm talking about all the other beers I've had in my life, the old Milwaukee, the Milwaukee's bad. But yeah, this was the worst one I've ever had. But
Ugh.
c'est la vie.
PA
And I picked
Brew
it up
News
because
saying Rivertown has a pineapple beer. Tastes like bad pineapple and bile.
Ugh.
ooh, that's not good. No.
That's definitely not good. Honestly, I think the worst I had, it was the German beer. I think it was our second episode, but maybe my taste buds weren't refined at that point. But like it was supposed to be a smoky beer, and to me it tasted like it
Dog
tasted
treats?
more like tasted like dog treats to me. And once
Dog
again,
treats?
I don't think I need to explain why I know what dog treats taste like. Just understand
I
that
have
I
not heard that
do.
story. I've not heard that story.
Really?
Go ahead.
Do you want to know why I know what dog treats taste like?
I have an idea. I just haven't heard the official story, but I have an
It's
idea.
it was probably about 3 or 4 in the morning. Come home from the bar and super hungry. Open up the fridge and I see what I assume is some sort of stew. And the individual I was living with at the time, loved to make really good bowls of food for our dog. And I assumed the stew was for humans. I didn't know she made a stew for our dog, and I ate it. And what she had put in there was like one of those dog treat bones that you get at the pet store, smoked.
Okay.
And so I do like bone. I like bone marrow. So I was sucking on it, chewing on it, and said something isn't right.
Mm.
At which point, my very angry, roommate girlfriend came in and said, "Hey, what are you doing, dumbass? That's for the dog." At which point I said, "Okay,
I'm out.
yeah."
Oh,
Pretty
that's
much.
funny. I think the dog was looking
Pretty
at
much.
you too, like, "What are you doing? Like, that's mine."
They kind of yeah. She was definitely looking at me like that's my food, but nonetheless, yeah, it's I every time I walk into a pet store, I can smell that bone with that smokiness and that's exactly what that beer had for me when I was drinking it. So it's surprised it didn't make me puke,
Yeah.
but
I think we need to revisit that one because I mean,
Yeah.
Paul from PA Brew News, he's telling us not to hate on that one. So
Excellent Curl is like the best smoked beer you can get your hands on. A different variety. I mean, that's the whole brewery. That's what they do, and
right,
it's like being at a campfire when you're enjoying those.
it, honestly, I was looking forward to it, and like I said, it was our second episode, and honestly, I'm the Coors Light guy. Like that was our thing at the beginning. Like I'm the regular Joe guy, and Ray is supposed to be like the craft beer guy, and to me, it was just a little bit of a Debbie Downer. Just that smokiness really tastes like dog treats. So
yeah. And honestly, I wasn't a big fan of that one either. But I'd like to go back and revisit that because that was like 4 years ago. So
What beer was it? Was it Extra Curl?
it was, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it could have not been your thing. As I'm like, yeah, I love picking those up.
Yeah, I think worst one that I ever had was that sour that Brian gave us, Paul. The one that broke Jackie.
The one where Jackie puked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
that's not
yeah, our intern. She was so nice. And we got this sour beer from a friend of ours, and they want us to review it. And I don't know if it's something she ate that day or it could have been the other beer reviews we did previous to it.
Mhm.
But we cut out most of it, but she definitely threw up, and I feel bad. And thank God she's an intern because we didn't have to pay her. Honestly, I hope you're not watching this.
You don't get workers' comp. You don't get that now. Yeah.
Yep.
Intern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Hellas. Cool.
Yeah.
They've got a Hellas, do they?
Well, they do an Oktoberfest. They do them all, but they're all smoked still, but it's maybe less smoke for you. Baby steps. Baby steps.
What if we can get a smoked apple beer?
Possibly.
Evidently, there is a pastrami sandwich beer out there.
Pastrami sandwich?
A pastrami sandwich beer. And now I'm curious. You get those hints of the pastrami, your little mustard, you're like, whatever like that pastrami sandwich is supposed to taste like, you're supposed to be able to taste all the notes of it. Like, for the life of me, I can't recall who makes it. I believe it's an American thing.
Probably.
But I love me a good pastrami sandwich.
I mean, we have some hot dog beers and stuff too. So,
hot dog beers?
Yeah, with that were infused with. One did it one with hot dog water before. One did it with actual hot dog. It's to bring out that going to a baseball game type feel, I guess. So yeah,
like that guy
I've never had the hot dog beers, but I know they're out there. I've seen them.
I'm sure we've all seen that guy that's using the hot dog as a straw.
Hot dog as a straw. Yeah, yeah.
Whole. I know what the tagline is. Try our hot dog beer, made from the sweat of 1,000 wieners.
Yeah.
Ladies, feel free to take a number. Hey, Brew saying yes, please, a hot dog beer. See, it's working.
It's just like the thing with the lobster biscuit, going for like that feel of a hot dog, and you pair it up with a hot dog at the ballpark or somewhere. So,
I'm a big fan of saying I'll try anything at least twice. So, absolutely, 100%, I would definitely try it. God.
I'm with you on that, Alan. Ew.
Jeez, ew. What do you mean, ew?
Yeah, she had the one. That was a hot dog beer they had.
4-pack for $7.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys are spoiled with your beer prices down there, man.
God, yeah. You guys are just killing me on that.
Well, where Paul's at, if I 4 for $7, they probably couldn't get rid of it enough. So
that was $4. Just this can was $4.
What size can is it? Is it like the 16 ounce?
473s.
Yeah, 473 milliliters.
Yeah, 16 ounces. 16 ounces.
I was going to say, we can get like the 19.2 ounce. I don't know what the conversion rate is, but here, they'd be like 259 for 19.2 ounce.
That's 576 milliliters, I believe. So
yeah.
This was $4.05 plus the refund or the deposit.
Yeah.
Wow, so I'm just glad we got all that out. Honestly, the smoked beer thing, I got out of my system. The wieners, I'm glad you guys got that out of your system. I'm sure there's a plethora of. I'm surprised there isn't like a wasabi beer out there.
There might be.
It might be actually.
Also,
looks on release day. Yeah.
Right. So
Belgian free is too much.
the flavors, there's so many things you can do with flavoring. An infusion of flavor, like you don't actually have to have the actual ingredients. Got you see it in the those mixed drink cans like White Claw and the whole 9 yards. The flavoring abilities of those companies is insane. The chemistry required to put these things together, absolutely amazing. You can replicate any flavor. You don't actually have to put them in your beer. You don't need to put lobster in your beer. Just get lobster flavoring. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use flavoring for stuff. But to your point, wasabi beer does exist.
Does it really?
They're saying it's not for the faint of heart. And it pretty much tastes like wasabi, they're saying. $7.79 a bottle.
I would buy it. I would do it. I would drink it. 100%.
Yeah.
And most likely, yes, Ray and I would.
Well, it says taste is very light malt with with unmistakable wasabi notes. Not really hot or spicy, but it's definitely wasabi.
So what kind of beer would it be?
Oh, it's got to be some type of ale. Probably like a
Yeah.
golden ale type, something with the spice golden ale or something.
Easy to infuse a flavor into.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Trying to see who makes it here. Nagata beer, so it's out of Japan.
That makes sense too.
Oh God! If you guys are out there,
it's only
and you
sold
have
online.
access to
It's
it,
only sold online by bottle. It says. And
send
only,
us the bottles.
Yeah.
We
You
will
can get
pay
it
the
in
duty.
UK. Yeah.
Really? Eh? Oh Jesus! I just had friends they just hopped on a plane today to come down here. If I had known that, I would have asked them to bring some.
For
Yeah,
sure.
it's just called wasabi. So if you put it on Untapped, I'm sure it'll pop up there.
If you guys have access to this wasabi beer, hey, Ray and I will drink it, and we will chug it.
Paul, waiting for breweries to use weirdly harvest yeasts. There's a cheese made from Old Monk's bread yeast and maybe a Lady Garden wild ale.
Ooh. Here it is.
Yikes.
Here it is on Untapped. So wasabi, average rating, 512 people have had it, 2.47.
Oh,
Well, wasabi is an acquired taste,
It is.
so
Funny.
I happen
funny
to be
thing
a
about-
big fan of it.
Funny thing about wasabi, when I first started eating sushi, I didn't know you're supposed to put the wasabi in the soy sauce. So, and I like spicy food. So when I first started eating sushi, I would just take the sushi and I would dab it on the wasabi and eat it. Like at every piece and doing it. Like, it's not too hot. Like, no, I like the spice on it. But they're like, oh, you're supposed to put it in the soy sauce and then you stir it up and then you kind of dip into it. But I'm like, yeah, but I like that. I like the heat.
Oh, honestly, you're supposed to put the wasabi on the fish itself. You don't put it in the soy sauce.
Really? Okay.
And
I was closer to.
you are actually close to what you're supposed to be doing with the wasabi.
Okay.
Right? I'm guilty of it too. I kind of like putting wasabi in the soy sauce. More realistically, I love putting wasabi on my actual sushi itself, and then you do a little half dip into the soy sauce, and then you eat it, right? And that's how you get the full flavor. And I always say, they bring out the initials. If you go to all you can eat, they'll bring you out initial wasabi. Don't use that stuff. Ask for more wasabi. That's where the good stuff is.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
that's where the real deal. Like, they won't give you the good stuff. They'll just give you the stuff out of like the bowl. Like, all right, these people are gonna be white people, but nonetheless, just when you ask for more, they know. They want the most wasabi. Oh, yes. I am so sorry. Honestly, I don't know what that was supposed to be. My Asian friends, I only have love for you unless you're Oh, I can't even say that. Sorry, I won't say it. Unless you're trying to do something else. Trying to do something. Oh man, Ray, let's wrap this up, Ray.
alrighty. Don't forget, check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Alconauts. Get out there, and if you're not subscribed and you haven't checked out Rod J's channel, make sure you do that, because if you don't, you are missing out something awful. We do this thing for an hour every Wednesday. Come back. We're going to have some guests again. Yeah, I'm trying to ignore what's going on in the comments right now because
The two Pauls are coming together.
Keep going,
Yeah.
Ray. Just keep going.
roll it up. But yeah, so absolutely get over and check out Rod J's channel. Rod, the last couple of minutes here. What do you got going on? What's coming out? What should we look forward to?
Let's see here. So tomorrow is Thursday night, so that means happy hour. So we'll have a live stream. Kicks off at 8 Eastern. I usually try to get it shut down by 11, but you know how it goes. So I can't always guarantee that'll be the case because people get on there and the comments come in, and if Shannon's on it, just throw the notes out the window, because if Shannon comes on board, then anything's possible. So she might be on tomorrow with Todd, and then Mal will be back, I think, tomorrow as well. And then we may have a couple of guests, so we'll see what happens. And then more beer reviews. I did a beer review earlier today. I know PA saw it. He likes the Evolution Craft Brewery. I dropped their double IPA earlier today. Got tons of beer reviews in the machine to turn out. I got more Beer 101 videos that I'll be bringing out. People seem to like those about the IBU or the SRM and some of the different stuff that I've been doing. So I'm going to roll with more of that, and might do a spinoff of a beer news live stream as a segment.
Paul disappeared. I think he got censored. I don't know what happened there. But
is Paul getting canceled right now? Is he getting canceled?
Anyways, we usually hang out for a couple of minutes after the show. I've got to finish this up, so we're going to hang out for a minute or two. I just threw the link up in the comments. We got room for a couple of people. We don't use the paid version, so if you want to click on that link, jump into the backstage area. We'll let you in as we can. We're going to hang out for a couple of minutes anyways. With that being said, not sure where Paul went. Hopefully he comes back shortly. And that's the end of the show. Thanks so much for joining us, Rod. Absolute pleasure. Love hanging out with you. And we are out of here.